Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at XRP. This is a lower time frame video. We do have a higher time frame video up above, so check that out for those higher degree counts. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Before we jump into the lower time frame counts, we're going to be talking about some of those higher time frame ideas here. So within this idea here, we are looking for the possibility of a fourth wave. Now it is possible that we could be seeing that this fourth wave is actually completed into this low here, and we could be looking to rally for this fifth wave target area being this $12.90 to this $5.57. Now if we are looking to complete into this low here, the only way we can look at this is actually as a truncation into this point, where we would potentially be looking at this as either a running flat or alternatively a bigger W and X and a Y if we want to subdivide this as A, B, and C. Now within this idea here, what we'd be saying is that this is going to be our low point and we're going to look to rally. It is also possible that we could be within a move like this, where we could still be within a bigger triangle, where we look at this as A, B, C, D, and then we're looking potentially for another three-wave move down here in an E wave. Now we have come into this target area that I had marked out previously when we moved up into this high. So what I'm looking for here is evidence that we are going to see another move to the upside. Now it is possible that we could just see this develop as A, B, and C, and then we could still see another leg to the downside after rejection and a move to the upside here. But what I would be looking at is actually holding this 0.299 area here, which is the lower end of the C wave. We are allowed to technically break this if this is a triangle, but we wouldn't want to see a sustained break below this level. Anything below that zone would then indicate that potentially we are looking for lower. Now it is also possible within this idea here that of this being a fourth wave, that we could still see an additional leg to the downside here, where what we would be then looking for is the possibility that this move here could be a bigger ABC pattern or a WXY pattern, where this is W, X, and then we're looking for Y. Now looking at the internals here, I would say that this would be the next likely case if we do get another push to the downside. This would align with still being within this fourth wave target box area here, which is this white box. We can see here all the way from this 8 cents to this 51 cents. So we've already come into this level, and this is why I'm just looking out for that potential that we could see something evolve off this move. But we're going to go over what we need to see happen for this to actually start playing out as this fifth wave. And really, until we actually get a break back above these highs, we need to be very careful of that more bearish case we've got to push down. We will also go over the bearish scenario after we cover this bullish count. Now within the bullish idea here, there's a couple of ways we could look at this. We could argue that if this is going to extend out, what we could have is that this move completes into this low here of this 30 cents, and then what we have is an expanding diagonal where this becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, and what we'd be looking for is another bigger three-wave move to the upside, which would have to cross this 99-cent level. Now if we do see something like this, what we'd then be looking for is price to start to form five-wave structure up here, get three waves down, and then see another five-wave move like this, looking for this level. Now if this is the case, we would be looking to hold this low that we have here at this 0431. If we hold that level, we can potentially look to rally. However, invalidation of this comes by crossing this 41 cents, which would be this low over here. If we do see another three-wave move to the upside here, what I'll then be looking for is three waves down, followed by a bigger five-wave move to the upside, looking for this to actually evolve into a bigger impulse. Now, the other way we could argue that this is taking place is we could say that this is 1, 2, 3, triangle for 4, and a fifth. Now, if this is the case, what this would mean is that we could just have this as a C wave. If we want to look at this as a bigger corrective pattern, it would be quite large in relation to this bit over here, but I am just keeping this open as a alternative idea. Or alternatively, you know, we could also just say this is three waves up, triangle here, and then we have this as an ABC. So we need to be careful with this bullish count. The invalidation of this idea comes by crossing this 30 cents, and what we want to do here is actually hold this yellow support box level. If we start to lose this 0.384 area, this would effectively mean that the probability starts to become less likely that we're going to hold this low. If we do, however, continue to hold this 786 that we've got here, potentially we could start to look for a move to the upside. Now, like I said, we do have the potential to see a turnaround from this low, but we need to be very careful that until we actually break back above the 786 level here of this 80 cents and have a sustained break above this level, we could still see continuation to the downside following up from the back end of this move. So if we do just see this move do something like this, A, B, and C, what we need to be very careful of here is that this could still have another leg to the downside before looking for that continuation up. Or alternatively, if we face rejection in this area, it is possible that this move is starting to follow that more corrective count to the downside. So we need to be very careful that until we actually break back above this level here, you know, this move here is not giving us a good indication yet that we could be looking for this, but we need to see a move to confirm this idea of the bigger impulse here up towards $2.77 for this third wave. If we do just get something like this, where this becomes a bigger A, B, and a C, and we see a push rather up towards this 136 level, then I would still be on the lookout for that possibility. This could still be corrective, and we could start to break down from this point, but the internal waves at that point would give us some more clarity as to what is actually playing out within the count. Now, coming in here more locally, if we're looking at this as an impulse, what we would be saying then is that effectively there's two ways we can look at this. We could argue this is 1, 2, 1, 2 here. And what we'd then be looking for is this 64 cents as a potential target for this wave 3, followed by a fourth wave and a fifth wave, which could potentially then push us up towards 69 cents to the 66 to the 662. Now, the ideal location we're looking for here to confirm this idea would be a move up towards this 1618 level here at the 0.697. If, however, what we have here is that rather this is 1, all of this is a wave 2, we could actually look to push back down here, potential targets being this 0.618 to this 0.854, though this would be quite a deep retracement if this is the case. So I would be looking also towards a 786 as a potential sweep of this low if this wave 2 is incomplete. Now, within the idea of this being 1212, invalidation is going to be this 0.459. If we do hold above this level, we could then potentially start to look for this 1618 rally towards a 64 cents. If we, however, break down below this invalidation line, I'm going to be keeping an eye on this 786 and this 854 as our last form of defense here, where we could potentially look to protect this low. If we do hold this low, then we can still look for this idea of the blue wave count here. And depending on how deep we go here, you know, this would change how we look at this, because if we went down towards that 786, for instance, that target area would then become 0692. If we move down towards that 0854, it would become 068. So we'd need to keep an eye on that area. If we do continue to hold this, we could look for this potential rally. Now, the idea within this would be that this would then start to build our next leg to the upside here, where this becomes another 1 and a 2, and then we'd be looking for that next leg up in a bigger 5-wave structure. As long as we continue to hold this 0431, we can keep this idea alive, but if we lose this low, then the probability is that we are following one of the other counts. Coming back out here and having a look at our bearish alternative, what we could see here is that this move is a bigger W, an X, and a Y, and we're still looking for another leg to the downside. Now, the target area for this would actually be this 068, and what we'd then be looking for is somewhere between this 1-to-1 and this 0.618. Now, this would also be a very interesting area to me, this 0.245. If we do see price look to push down one more time, it could actually coincide with something like a move down towards these levels. Other areas of interest would be the 786 here at this 13 cent 9. If we do move down towards that level, this could align then with actually coming back into some of these lows over here. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on those levels. If we do look to push down one more time here, that could be an interesting zone that we could see an interaction. Now, the way that I'm looking at this move down here is that if we are actually looking at this Y wave playing out here, what we could see is that we could have this as a bigger A, B, and a C pattern. So within this idea, what we'd then be anticipating is from this orange box area, facing a rejection and then seeing the C wave play out to the downside, where what we'd want to see is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1-to-1 would bring us towards this 13 cent 6. If we do move down here in a 5-wave move, this would then align with this idea of seeing this push down here. Now, the problem is if we do see this as a bigger A, B, and a C, this could also align with that idea that this is actually still a bigger triangle that still hasn't completed. So we need to be on the lookout for this. If we do get a 3-wave move down here, it is still possible, as long as we hold this low, that this could become A, B, C, D, and E, and then we could still look for a rally from that point. Or alternatively, this could just become that bigger WXY pattern, and then we could actually be looking at this just being within the structure here, because that move to the downside as an ABC would look to push us down past the 0.618, which is our typical zone that we look as a minimum for a WX and a Y. So going to be keeping an eye out on that idea. Now, within this idea of actually seeing a move down here, it is also possible that within this idea of this being A, B, and C, that we could still be within the B wave. Now, within this idea of still being within the B wave, what we could argue is that there is still potential that we could see something like this, where this is actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a diagonal. This is a B wave, this is a C wave, and that is an A wave completed. Now, we have actually come back down here into a typical B wave area. So I'm keeping an eye on this zone here between this 0.5 and this 0.786. I am also keeping an eye on this bottom trend line here, which directly below us would be sitting towards the zone of this 0414, which would also align with coming back into some of these highs and this low over here. So keep an eye on those levels. If we do continue to push down, we could see some kind of a reaction. Now, within this idea, what we'd be saying is that the B wave is not completed, and this could become bigger A, B, and a C. Now, within our idea here that this is a bigger A, a B, and a C to the downside here, what we'd want to see is if we do get a push up like this, we're going to face rejection and then come back down and take these lows. Until we actually take these lows, if we see a C wave up here, we also have to be very careful that there isn't something else going on here, like a diagonal where this becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then we get some kind of a contracting wedge shape to the upside here, looking for continuation up in a bullish count. But if we do fail to push back above the highs here of the 1.98, we could still then be looking for that continuation down. So just because we see a bit of a rally here doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be in the all clear if it does start to come through. Like I said, if we are looking at the C wave coming into play from this high here of this 0953, we would be anticipating to hold this zone. The problem that I have with this current move to the downside is it's very difficult to count this as a 5-wave move just because of the time relationship between this wave and this wave up here. Otherwise, we could argue that this is 1, 2, this will become 3, 4, 5, and then we'd be looking for another 4th and a 5th. But because of the fact that within this structure we have a lot of overlap, the way I'm currently looking at this is that this is A, B, and C. Now, if that is the case, this could then mean that this is completed. Now, if this is an A wave down to the bottom here, and we're looking at this as a B wave, we could still see a C wave come off the back of this, where we actually look to break down and not pass this 0549. Within that idea, what we'd be saying here is that we're going to see a bigger corrective pattern where this is A, this is B, and this is C. So we can see here that if this is A, B, and C, our 1-to-1 off of this, looking at it as a triangle, would be here at this 249. If we are looking at this idea, what we'd be anticipating is a protection of this high here of this 0548. So this would be our invalidation of the C wave starting directly. And then what we'd be looking for is 5 waves to the downside, minimum requirement 33 cents, 1-to-1 here at this 24.9. Now within this, what we'd then be saying is that we're going to get a 5-wave move down. 5-wave structure would look something along these lines here, where what we'd say is that this is 1, 2, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're looking for this 5th wave down. Now, if we do pass this 48 cents level, what we could then see is that actually this 5th wave is incomplete here, and we could be looking for the blue 3rd wave to be in play. Now, this would then mean that this white count is all within this 3rd wave. Then we'd get a 4th and a 5th, which could look to potentially push us down towards this 47 cent 6 to this 46.8. So if we do see price move down into those levels, I'm going to be keeping an eye on this idea of a bounce to the upside. If we do get a push down here one more time, and then we see 3 waves up, and we fail to break back above this 50 cents 5, what we would then be looking for is the potential that this becomes another corrective structure up, and then we'd be looking for a 5th wave down. Now, it is possible internally here that we could get something more like this, 1, 2. This all becomes another 1, 2. Then we start to break down more violently, but the idea would remain the same, you know, really until we actually break back above 50 cents 5. I would be looking for this to potentially continue down if we are following this bullish count. Now if we come in here onto the 1 hourly, what we can see is that internally here we'd be looking at this as 1, 2, 3, and as long as we stay below this 49 cents here, we could be looking for this yellow fifth wave still to the downside, where what this would be looking for is this 48 cents to this 47 cents region. Now, if we do see this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, I'm going to be looking out for that potential of pushing past that 48 cent level, and then seeing price actually looking to push back to the upside here for this fourth wave. If we do see this play out, where this move actually becomes a 3-wave structure up here, and then we look to break down after one more push to the downside, this would then confirm a bigger 5-wave move off of this high. Now the key thing here is that if we do get a bigger 5-wave structure off this high like this, what we would need to be careful of is this orange box area here. If we fail to take this high again and we get this as a 5-wave move down, we need to be on the lookout for that 3-wave up and then that continuation down. Only a sustained break about this 786 would actually give us a better indication that we're looking at something more substantial here, but we'd still need to take out these highs because this could still become a bigger ABC pattern and actually look to push us down past these lows. So this is what we're looking for within the bearish scenario here. If we start to push back above this 50 cents level, then potentially we could be looking at something slightly more bullish here, where we could be looking to rally, but we'd have to see that bigger move confirm by actually getting a bigger push up here, like I said, past this 64.5 for us to actually get confirmation of this third wave. So we are currently sitting within support zones. I'm going to be watching these key levels here to see how we react. If we do continue to hold these lows and continue to show strength above these levels, then start to see good volume 5-wave structures coming to the upside here, we can potentially be looking for this bullish idea. But if we just fail to actually rally and continue to hold those 4th wave areas, we could still be looking for that continuation down here, where this move here is actually going to become the start of a bigger move to the downside. Okay, so coming in here and having a look at the daily CPR lines, what we can see is that we have actually printed a very narrow CPR line today. This was indicating volatility, and we can see that we actually lost this central line, moved down towards our S3 line, and have actually looked to move back up here. Now we are temporarily finding support at this 486. If we do continue to push up, we could potentially experience resistance here at this 492 and these central lines here at this 497. If, however, we continue to hold this low and we start to see price looking to push up in a bigger 5-wave move and we get back above these central lines today, I'm going to be looking out for the potential to see a move back up towards this 50 cents level. If we do look to rally higher than this, then what we'd be looking for as potential targets for today would be 0508, 0513 and this area here of this 0519. Now moving over here and having a look at the weekly pivot points, what we can see is that we actually didn't touch our central lines here and we actually moved directly down here towards our S2 line. Now this can potentially offer us support again if we do look to come back down here at the 0481, so watch that level. If, however, we start to rally to the upside here, we could experience some resistance at this 50 cent level. This is obviously going to be a psychological level as well. If we do just see 3 waves up here, we need to be very careful of that continuation down. If, however, we start to break back above this, what we could still see this week is a move back up into these central lines towards this 0521 to this 0527. That would be our central lines throughout this week. If we do look to move back above these central lines, I'm going to be looking out for the potential of this 0542, 067 and this 0585 as potential upside targets. If, however, we continue to break down here, I'm going to be looking out for the potential to see if we find support here at the 0457 as a potential support zone. Now if we throw this onto the monthly pivots, what we can see here is that we are currently underneath our central lines. We did have an interaction with these, we've rejected and we've actually moved away. Now if we do continue to look to push down this month, we could potentially look for targets of this 0466. Other targets to the downside here would be this 0417 and this 0376. If, however, we do look to move back up here again, we need to be very careful of the potential of finding resistance here at this 0504 to this level here of this 0512. We can see this is also an important level just looking at structure here. So we'll be paying a lot of attention if we do see a bit of a move up here to retest this and potentially have a support resistance flip here. If, however, we do manage to get back above these central lines this month, targets to the upside would then open up of this 0556, 0599, and this level here of this 0647. Now, if we were looking at this idea of pushing up into some of these higher zones here, this could be that this is just a bigger corrective move and we still look to break down if we fail to hold support here. Or ideally, if we're looking at this as a bigger impulse, what we'd be saying is that this would become 1-2, 1-2 here. Potentially would be looking for a third, possibly a back test on a fourth, and then looking for that fifth wave up. So we'll have to keep an eye on these levels. If we do see price look to move up or down here, I'm going to be keeping an eye on these different pivot points. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video. Leave us some feedback down below, and also in the description you will find a link to Discord. Come check it out, it's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We will see you in the next one. Take care.